All right, thanks for joining us at Play Fast Football. We've got a webinar coming at you with Coach Mac today with 3-3 Stack. I'm Coach Zach McGee. I will be the moderator. Before we get started, I want to share a few things. We want to thank our sponsors. Dome Headwear, providing premium custom hats, visors, and beanies. Contact team@domehats.com. Enter Coach's Dozen Special in the subject line of the email and tell them what you want, and we can get you set up with 12 hats with a logo with free 3D embroidery for $6 each. DC1, Defensive Coordinator 1, an app you can use for in-game adjustments using live in-game data. Visit www.defensivecoordinator1.com/contact us. Fill out the form and enter the promo code PlayFastFootball, and you'll get the app for 12 months. It'll be a 12-month deal, 25% off, so you're basically getting 3 months free when you sign up using that promo code. GameStrat, the number one choice for coaches looking for a highly reliable and highly affordable sideline replay system. Just Play Solutions, playbook software that helps you create an interactive learning environment for your team. Max One app, a great tool for coaches, one central location for all team communication, training, and organization. Helps save time and creates a more efficient program. All right, guys, I'm going to give it over to Coach Mack, and he's going to talk to you about 3-3 Stack.
All right, hey, guys, Coach Mack. Appreciate all of you attending our webinar tonight on installing the 3-3 Stack with split field coverages behind it. We'll start off just by talking a little bit about how we went to it, why we went to it. We were coming off last season. We were coming off a year where we went 1-9, and we were very poor on defense. And part of that had to do with the fact that we started 8 sophomores on defense, and we just physically we weren't ready to play football in the district that we were in with the schedule that we had with those 8 sophomores. But we were a 4-2-5 team playing split field coverages behind it, and in the run game, outside of the physicality of some of our players being a little bit young, I just didn't like the fact that we messed up our run fits a bunch. We weren't consistent with our run fits. We weren't consistent with our block rec and how we took on certain blocks and, where we were trying to send the ball and how we were trying to do certain things. So, it kind of got to a point where I just felt like we needed a change. And we decided to go to the 3-3 Stack because with the 3-3 Stack, we felt like we could get a little bit simpler. And what I was looking for was I was looking to simplify, how we fit things, how we coach things, what we got our guys to do, and how we were able to give ourselves a system where we could play a little bit more consistently so that we could fix things a little bit easier. And I wanted something that in our base structure, I wanted something that kind of stayed the same even when we changed coverages a little bit. I wanted something that was very generic that could stay the same, that we could teach over and over again, so that our kids would have something that they feel, they felt like they could do at a high level, because it was, very easy for them to do. And once we repped it all out, there was a consistency to it that we, that we felt like we could coach on a daily basis. One of the other things that, kind of helped us out with how we were doing things and what we were doing was, we had some personnel changes that we had to go through, and we felt like the 3-3 Stack fit us a little bit better in how we were, with our personnel, what we were doing and how we wanted to do it. We felt like, all right, so let's just go back a little bit to talk about why we made the move. Last season, we were a 4-2-5 team. I had been a 4-2-5 team for about 6 or 7 years. And last year we were not very good on defense, gave up a lot of rushing yards. And like I said, we started 8 sophomores on defense 2 years ago. And we felt like that was one of the reasons that we were just not, excuse me. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. We felt like physically in the conference and the district we were in with some very physical teams that like to run the football, we felt like a lot of that had to do with the fact that we were starting 8 sophomores. But as a coach, I wasn't happy with our run fits. I wasn't happy with how inconsistent our run fits are, or they were, and I wanted to make a change. I felt like our personnel suited 3-3 stack a little bit more. We had more linebackers and safeties, and so we decided to make the change, and we wanted to make things simple. And so I went and did some research last year at some clinics, and I looked at a couple of things that I really liked. And bottom line is we went to a real simplistic version of the 3-3 stack, and we went to a real simple version with our 6 guys in the box of how we teach the reads and how we teach the fits. And we tried to make it to where it was real easy for coaches to rep and practice, and real easy for coaches to get multiple reps. And we tried to make it so no matter in our base system with all of our coverage adjustments, we could keep the reads the same for those 6 guys that were in the box. And what it led to for us was, with all the returning players that we had on defense, it led to a season where we were, in our county, we were number 1 in rushing yards against, we were number 1 in passing yards against, and we were number 1 in points against in our county. And we went from a 1-9 season to a 6-4 season. We were 5-1 at one point, tied for the lead in the district, and we were 6-2 at one point, with probably needing one more win to get to the playoffs. And last 2 games of the year, offensively, we didn't play very well, but our defense put us in position to win a lot of games this year, and we did a lot of really, really good things with the 3-3 stack with split field coverages. So I'm going to get into it a little bit about tonight, about how and why. And I've done on the website, if you're a subscriber, I've done a video on 3-3 stack run fits, and I've also done a video talking a little bit about split field coverages. So as I go through this tonight, I'm going to talk mostly about installing it and what it looks like versus different formations, and how we use the split field coverages with those formations. We'll have questions at the end, and I can answer specific questions, but I'm not going to get fully into exactly what reads we make. I'll probably talk a little bit about the only 3 things we ask our defensive linemen or our defensive ends to look at, but we're not going to exactly fit runs tonight, and we're not going to talk about route distribution tonight. When I get to the PowerPoint, in the coverages, in the split field coverages, I have rules drawn up, and then I think we're going to try and find a way that everybody in attendance tonight, I'll email you, either Coach McGee or Colby Grant on my team will email you the PowerPoint presentation so you have it. All right, so let's just talk about why the 3-3 stack at Orange Park. Simplicity is number 1. It's easy to teach and play gap sound 8-man front football. Even though we are a split field coverage team, depending on the personnel we see, if we see 2 back offenses, we're going to be 8-man front a majority of the time. And we'll have some wrinkles on the front side and the back side that we can use. But if it's a 2-back system that we're playing against, we're going to be an 8-man front. And we feel like this is an easy way to teach 8-man front football. Versatility, the movement gives us the ability to get to multiple fronts, over, under, bear. Just so you know, when we start in the base in the 3-3 stack, we do not move. Our nose guard is the only player that moves. We move the nose on every snap, and we fit the A gaps with the nose and the mic off of that movement. Our end and our anchor do not move. We do not slant every down. We do not blitz or pressure every down. We play our base defense out of a traditional 3-3 stack, so that in our 3-3 stack, all right, we don't slant and angle every down. We don't use the defense for movement purposes. We love the movement that's built in because of the stack and the alignment of the stack. But we are not – when I switched to the stack, I didn't want to be one of those teams that slant and angled every down. I didn't want to be a one-high team. So when we switched to the stack, we decided to play a 6-man box that we could fit without movement. All right, so that I felt like – when you move, I feel like you move into plays, but I feel like you move out of a lot of plays. So I wanted a base defense that was a structure that involved no movement, so that we could really react off of the blocks we were seeing and fit runs. And in practice, we could really set it up to where the runs that we were going to see, whether it be power counter, zone lead, zone kick, split flow, we really felt like we could hammer out those runs from 1-back and 2-back, and based on the block recognition that we were seeing, we could get our kids to fit runs consistently in the base coverages that we were playing. But the versatility of the stack gives you the ability to move into an over front, an under front, or a bear front from the base 3-3 stack. So I love the versatility of it. From a speed standpoint, we felt like we were getting more back end players to help eliminate big plays. Now that we're only playing with 3 down linemen, now we're playing with 8 back end players. We're playing with 3 linebackers and 5 secondary players. So we play with 3 safeties all the time. And it's actually the same structure that we played when we were a 4-2-5 team. But now we're doing it out of the 3-3 stack, which means we're adding a linebacker on the field and taking a defensive lineman off the field. So we are putting more speed on the field and more back end players, which hopefully equates to us eliminating big plays. From a personnel standpoint, we feel like at our school right now in our program, it is easier for us to find safeties and linebackers than it is to find D linemen. A lot of the time when we find D line body types here at our school, they also have to play O-line. Our school is now a 5A school in Florida. We're down to about 1,525 students, something along those lines. And 10, 15 years ago, this used to be a school that had 2,400 students, and they had more bigger body types and they had more depth, and they could find more defensive linemen. With where we are right now, we feel like we have more skill players around the school that we can find. We feel like we have more linebackers and safeties. So for us, without having to use offensive linemen on defense, we feel like it's easier for us within our personnel to play a 3-3 stack structure. And then one of the bigger things is we wanted to be different. We were playing 4-2-5. We felt like everybody on the schedule, 8 of the 10 teams were even front teams. In our district, we felt like the teams were even front teams. And we felt like the odd stack was different. And what we wanted to do is especially coming off the 1-9 season, even though we knew we were going to be a better football team, I wanted to feel like teams had to work a little bit more to beat us. If I could make teams work a little bit harder during the week with their preparation and what they were doing, I felt like that would only help us if we could create a little bit more work for opposing coaches and opposing offensive lines and opposing teams to work a little bit more because they are not used to seeing the 3-3 stack. So that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were going to be different and we were going to make people prepare a little bit more for what we were trying to do, which we felt like helped us become a better football team because we were harder to prepare for. That's one of the reasons we went to the 3-3 stack. That's why we made the switch. And as I said before, it was one of the things that we felt were, going to help us become a better football team, along with having returning players and good players. So we felt like it was something that we had to do and something that we wanted to do. So we went to it, and it was very successful for us. So that's why we went to the stack at Orange Park. All right, so let's talk about what split field coverages are. You hear the term all the time, split field coverages. So let's go through exactly what split field coverages are, and let's talk about why we use them. Split field coverages are coverages that are independent of each other on each side. So what that means is on each side of the football, on each side of the formation, we have the ability to play different coverages. So we are not locked into making a cover 3 call or a cover 2 call or just a straight quarters call. Our base defense gives us a way to play different coverages on each side of the field based on what we see from the offense and based on what the offense presents to us. So one of the reasons I originally went to split field stuff, about 8 or 9 years ago, I started doing it after studying TCU and Gary Patterson and reading some information on Gary Patterson. And I always got a little bit frustrated when we didn't get lined up correctly or guys didn't know what coverages to play. And when we started teaching the split field coverage deal, my goal was I wanted, with all the advent of tempo teams and no huddle teams, I wanted to get to a system where if I didn't make a call, our kids could line up and play every formation that they saw on the field by themselves without having to rely on a call from the coach. And when we first started it and when we first teach it, one of the things we do is we teach it as a base concept to where based on the formation that comes out on your side of the ball, you're only able to make certain coverage checks so that we could get to a point where we could play our base defense and our kids could line up to any formation we gave them and simply play the rules that they had based on the rules that we gave them in the install. And they could play a tight end flanker set. They could play a set with two removed. They could play a trip set. They could play a set that was a nub tight end. And that was the goal, was to be able to have a base defensive system that gave us a way to play every formation without a coach even having to make a call. So started off studying TCU and Gary Patterson and really fell in love with how they did it and how they taught it. And that's where we started in about 2010, right around there. So the coverages are dictated by formation and deployment of receivers on each side of the football. So when an offensive formation comes out, if you split the formation down the middle where the football is, there's only certain things that offense can do on one side of the ball and on the other side of the ball. So generally speaking, in base formations, without getting exotic into quads or, a Cinco set that has 5 on one side and 0 on the other, in base formations, normally you're going to get, 1 by 1, 2 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 1, or 3 by 2. And when you split the formations down the middle from where the football is and you teach your kids how to recognize formations based on deployment of receivers, you get yourself into a situation where it becomes a lot easier for your kids to identify formations and understand what coverages you want them to play in your base package based on just the receivers that they see on their side of the football. Okay, so there's always going to be a read side and an away side. So our free safety will always set the read side. He will always call the strength where he wants to set himself, and that is what we call the read side. The away side for us becomes the down safety that is opposite the free safety, and then the stack linebacker that is opposite the free safety. They become the away side with the corner that is opposite the free safety. All right, and when you get into that and we start getting into it later, once the read side is set, there's only certain things the away side can see. Okay, so if you have 3 receivers to the read side, you can never have more than 2 receivers on the away side. So the read side is going to see certain things and the away side is going to see certain things. We have to teach both sides of our defense how to play read side and away side coverages. And if you've studied anything recently in the college game of football, one of the hottest trends that's coming out now is hybrid defenses or positionless defenses. And what that means is, guys that are on the field that have the ability to play more than one spot. So a safety that can also be a linebacker, a safety that can be a man coverage guy, but he can also be on a hash mark as a 2 read or a high safety, but he can also be down towards the box as an outside linebacker. We started doing that about 7 or 8 years ago, and the reason we did it was because the first year I installed the 4-2-5, we played a team. We were switching sides with our linemen, and we were switching sides with our free safety, strong safety, weak safety, and we played a team that traded and shifted and motioned us a bunch. And what ended up happening was they got us into formations to where my strong safety was on the away side and my weak safety was on the read side. And they put us in scenarios where we had guys that didn't understand how to play 3-by-1 checks, and we had guys that didn't understand how to play to the single side. So after that season, I scrapped that idea completely, and I went to hybrid players. And this is going back to about 2012. I went to hybrid players with a left safety and a right safety that never moved. And I had a lot of people that thought it was crazy, and a lot of people that said you should still play with a strong safety and a weak safety and you should move them. And I said, I just got burned with that. I'm not doing it. My kids that play safety are very similar in nature. They're very similar in stature and athletic ability. I am going to play them on the left, and I am going to play them on the right. And I am going to spend more time teaching them how to play read side and away side coverages so that when games come and teams try to trade shift motion, I have safeties on each side of the ball that know how to be on the read side and the away side. So then we started cross-training our linebackers. And at that time, when we were a 4-2-5, we started cross-training our Mikes and our Wills, and we started teaching them how to be a Mike and a Will, so that if the formation was set a certain way when we played divorce front, if the Will was to the trip side, he could play trip side coverages. If the Mike was walked out in palms, he could play the apex part of the palms coverage. If the Will was in the middle, he could play the 3-dropper in palms. So that we spent more time teaching those kids how to be hybrid players, so that in games, if we lined up wrong, or if a team got us shifted or traded or motioned, those guys never had to panic. They knew how to play the position that they ended up having to be in. When we went to the 3-3 stack, one of the things that's unique about how we do it is we have 10 players on the field that never move. Our free safety is the only guy that moves in our base defense. The other 10 players never move. We play with an end and an anchor. Our end is either the field side end, or last year for us, he was the left side end the entire year. Our anchor was the right side end the entire year. We have a lion backer and a ram backer. The lion backer is always the left stack. The ram backer is always the right stack. Our Mike is always the backer that's in the middle stack behind the nose. We have a left safety and a left corner. We have a right safety and a right corner. And those players in our base system never move. They never change sides. And, a lot of people think that that's crazy. A lot of people think that that's a little bit out of the ordinary. The one thing I found out this year is we were lined up and ready to play 95% of the time because our guys never had to move. Now, what you get into is if you have a defensive end like we have, that's your best player, teams start to run the ball away from him. Eventually, you may want to get to where you put him to the field, or where you put him, where you think the ball is going to be run. With our defense, the way we started off this year, we started off without moving, and our pressures, we had left side pressures, we had right side pressures, and we had middle pressures. And once we repped those over and over again, the kids never had to learn anything different, because the pressures that came from the left, they knew what they were and they knew who they involved. The pressures that came from the right, they knew what they were and they knew who they involved. When we tried to move some guys around by strength or by boundary, by field or by boundary, then all of a sudden that end, who was a left side end, when we put him to the field on the right, he now had to know all the blitzes that came from the right, because they were opposite of what he was doing when he was on the left. So at the beginning of the season, we started, and I felt like it was when we were playing at our best, with 10 guys that never moved, blitzes from the left, blitzes from the right, blitzes from the middle. And with our kids here at Orange Park and the amount of coaches we have, that was the best way for us to rep everything that we had, so that we could play simple and play fast and effective, and know that we were weak in some areas with some things, and learn how to complement and adjust to our weaknesses, and create some counters to our weaknesses that helped us out. All right. So we played this year, the first 9 games of the season, we played with guys that never moved. All right. It gives you the flexibility to combine coverages and not get locked into calls. So once you have the system built in, and you have your base system built in, once you start to get to all the other coverages you may like to play, you then have a toolbox of how to combine things and be able to play different coverages on each side. And when we go through the PowerPoint and then I show you some still clips on film of us lined up, you'll see that we got to where we could play, we had a base way to play 2x2. And then if we wanted to change one side of it, we could play one coverage on one side and a different coverage on the other. 3x1, we had different ways that we could play the trip side and play the single side. We had different ways when we played twins open teams. We could start off in base and play our base rule to the twins, and then play one of our base rules to the single. We had 4 different adjustments on the single side that we could make. And then we had 2 or 3 other things in base that we liked to the twins that we could make. So when you start putting all those things together, you end up with multiple versions of the coverages that you can play on each side of the field. And when you combine those together, you have a huge toolbox that you can use to be very multiple yet simple in what you're trying to do in creating your defense and your coverage package. All right, so a simple base call for us can give us a variety of coverage combinations. So what it really became in essence was, I explained to people, is it's my version of check with me on defense. So you have these up-tempo and no huddle, hurry up offenses that have a lot of check with me's and a lot of things that they do on the ball. And then if it's not there, they go back to the coach to get a check with me. And this was our way of playing check with me coverage, so that if a team really wanted to up the tempo and really start playing at a fast pace, our kids, if we just felt like we could make a base call, our kids could get lined up. And then with one simple tag, if we wanted to give a different look, we felt like we could make one simple tag to change the look so that we could change the look, but we could also match the tempo of the offense. So, it's a simple way to kind of be check with me so that you don't always need a coverage call. You don't need a cover 3 call or a cover 2 call or a quarters call. You get one base call, and then your kids can put you into what you want to be into, the things that are in your menu, in your toolbox based on formations. All right. So for me, it was an answer to up-tempo offense, and it was kind of a version of check with me on defense. All right. So what you're going to have is you're going to have a read side and away side that we talked about. All right. In general, for us, very simply, on the read side, primarily, we will play quarters defense. We will play 2 read or palms coverage. All right. Our 3-by-1 adjustments start off as what we call mix or roll. And then we have a Miami check that we can play man-to-man to twins open receivers if we don't want to play palms, if the splits are something we don't like, or if we just want to get our overhangs and our apex guys tighter to the box, worried about run, or we want to take away quick passing game, we can change our palms to read lookup and play straight man, which we call Miami, to a twin side. All right. To the away side, we can play palms. We can play a traditional cover 2 that we call hard. We can play an inverted cover 2, which we call sky or cloud. We can do it with our safety or our corner. And it's an inverted version of cover 2 that becomes an 8-man front, but we do not press a reroute or funnel the number 1. When we play too hard, that is a call that tells our corner to be a very aggressive jam funnel reroute corner outside of number 1, but he's also the D-gap player in the run game. So for us, that's something that we may only do when the ball's on a hash mark into the boundary, because in the middle of the field, that's a long way for your force player to go. So when the ball's in the middle of the field, we may be more inclined to play the inverted version of sky or cloud, which gives us an 8-man front to 2 back sets. All right. And it just changes up who the D-gap force player and who the flat player or the curl flat player is in the passing game. And when we can do it effectively enough and we can spin to it with older kids, it changes up who the quarterback thinks the flat player is going to be. And when you get into RPOs, if there's an overhang that they're trying to read, when you can change that look up and play cloud, which means the corner comes down to be the 8th guy in the box, it kind of it messes up those third-level RPO reads for teams and quarterbacks. So we also have a hawk call, which for us is it's similar to a quarter scheme, but it's more of a vision and break scheme. It lets our weak side safety that is away from the free safety, so our left or our right safety that is not with the strength, he's on the away side. A hawk call allows him to line up tighter at about 8 yards. He plays a flat-footed robber read, and he's a vision and break player off the intentions of the quarterback. So if the quarterback looks to the read side, he spins to close the middle. If the quarterback looks to the single side, he looks to double and take away the single. So he plays his pass responsibility off of the intentions of the quarterback. And we went to that because in high school, a lot of the times your quarterbacks off the snap of the ball, a lot of times are going to tell you where they want to throw the ball. So we gain an extra player based off the intentions of the quarterback. The thing that changes there is then we have to play man-to-man with our corner and man-to-man with our stack linebacker when we do that in that hawk call. So that's a little bit different for us. And then we could lock 2 receivers if we needed to be. A lot of times if we get a tight end and a flanker away from the read side, a lot of times we'll play lock man. If we're in a stack and we don't have a backer outside of the tight end to be a flat force player, I don't like playing quarters coverage to a tight end and a flanker when I have a linebacker or a player inside of the number 2 receiver that is responsible for number 2 to the flat. If you can think about that or if that makes sense to you. So when we don't have the option to have an outside D-gap force flat player, I choose to play lock man on the tight end and the flanker to the away side. Most of the time, I try to set the free safety to the tight end and the flanker as much as I can. And I have some I have a diagram of that later on, and then I have a clip of us lined up in it. If you were to give us 2x2 with a tight end flanker on one side and twins receivers on the other side, traditionally speaking, in college, the passing strength would be the two stand-up receivers, not the tight end flanker. So most college guys would set their free safety to the split twin side because that's a passing strength. For me, I think high school is a run-orientated game. Stop the run first. So to me, I set the free safety to the tight end, and we play quarters. And then to the away side, we just play palms like we would to any other 2x2 set, so that we get quarters to the tight end side, extra support in the run to the tight end side, and then we play palms, or we can lock the other side. The only other thing I'll do is into the boundary. Sometimes I'll play hard cover 2 to a tight end and a flanker if I have a stud cornerback that I feel like can be a D-gap force player. But for us, generically speaking, in our base package, that is what we are going to play on the read side. That is what we are going to play on the away side. Okay, so read side coverages. The free safety always sets the coverage strength. So our free safety is always going to call, all right, the side that he's going to rip Liz. Rip is right, Liz is left. He always has to make that call to alert the players on that side that they are on the read side. All right, the read side can only see one receiver, 2 receivers, okay, or 3 receivers in generic base offenses. I know that you can see quads, and I know that you can see Cinco 5x0. When we are teaching and installing base defenses, we work on the formations that we are going to see 95% of the time, and then we will adjust to exotics when we need to adjust to exotics. I do not, as a coach or as a defensive coordinator, I do not start and spend a lot of time chasing ghosts. I do not spend a lot of time on exotics. I spend time on defending the things that I know I am going to see throughout the season. So the read side will generally see a 1 receiver, 2 receiver, or 3 receiver surface. Okay. The 1 receiver side, if you have a 1 receiver side to the read side, that means it's a 1x1 formation, which means it's a 3-back set. So if we see just 1 receiver on the read side, we're going to play quarters all the time. Okay. If you have a 2 receiver side that has a tight end flanker or a tight end wing, we are going to play quarters. All right. So if they have 2 receivers to the read side, and that is a tight end and a flanker or a tight end and a wing, we are going to play quarters. We will make tight end wing adjustments when we need to, based on what the team is doing. Sometimes tight end wing, the tight end and the wing are so tight that the corner and the safety playing quarters get real tight to each other. So we have some tight end wing checks that we make, but we generally start off trying to play quarters to tight end flanker sets and tight end wing sets until we cannot play it anymore, and then we make some adjustments from there. If you see 2 receivers with the number 2 detached, base-wise, we will always start in 2 read or pumps. That is the base camp install. 2 receivers with number 2 removed, we will always start in pumps. If you see 3 receivers, okay, if you see 3 receivers, we will be in mixed coverage camp rules day 1. If it is tight end trips, which, by the way, I will say to everybody in attendance tonight, I saw tight end trips twice last season in 10 games. All right. And I saw it less than 8 snaps in the 10 games that we played. I'm talking about trips with an attached tight end, 3x1 with an attached tight end. I saw that formation, all right, less than 10 times last season. Now, I saw 3 open receivers with a nub on the backside. I saw that formation a little bit more than I did 3x1 with an attached tight end. So a lot of guys ask me about that formation all the time, and my standard answer is that is a game plan adjustment for me, because I'm just going to be honest with you, I do not see it a lot. I don't know why I don't see it a lot. I don't know. I know it's a formation that people use, and I know it's a formation that people like. In my district with my schedule, I do not see it, and I don't chase ghosts, so I do not spend a lot of time defending that formation. It is always a game plan adjustment for us when we see tight end trips. So 3 receivers, we will always start in what we call our mixed coverage. And when I get further into the diagrams, I will go through these coverages for you. All right, on the away side, you're usually only going to see 1 or 2 wide receivers on the away side. All right. If the strength of the formation has 3 receivers to it, you can only see 1 or 2 on the other side. You can't see 3 by 3. So as soon as we know where the read side is, we know that the away side's only going to see 1 or 2 receivers. Okay. If it is 1 receiver split or it is a tight end, we will be in a cover 2 concept, sky, cloud, or hard. Now remember, sky and cloud is an inverted cover 2, which means there will be a drop down D gap player to make an 8-man front with a player back off the half that is kind of playing a deep half. But for us, we play all of number 1. All right. We tell that guy he has all of number 1 deep when he is playing, even though it is an inverted cover 2, we do not treat it as a half field concept. We tell the deep player that he is going to play all of number 1 and make sure you take away the post, because we are a middle of the field open defense by nature in our base coverages. So we tell him to play all of 1. He does not have to worry about underneath hitch, slant, out. The D gap underneath flat, curl flat player has to take that away so he can play over the top and defend the post. Now, when we play hard coverage, that is a traditional cover 2, all right, where our corner is a jam funnel player. He will reroute number 1. He will get hands on number 1 and force him inside, but then he is also the D-gap run support player. So for us, a hard call is usually only into the boundary, because with the ball in the middle of the field, I don't like how far removed the corner is as a force player. And even into the boundary, it takes a special kind of dude in high school to reroute a number 1, funnel a number 1 or jam a number 1, and then be able to get off a block and be a force player in the run game. So hard for us is usually a boundary call. It's a call we go to if a team has a lot of access throws. If they're a tempo team where to the single side, if you're off him, they're going to take a lot of stand-up or a lot of now throws or a lot of hitches or out cuts. We will play hard into the boundary. If number 1 is a dude that we feel like we have to reroute, we will play hard into the boundary. But we have to make sure that that corner can not only funnel and reroute, but we have to make sure that that corner can be a D-gap force player. And then hawk for us is similar to a quarters concept. Our extra safety is at about 8 yards, flat-footed, playing hard run reads. And then if he gets past, he's extra. If the quarterback looks to the read side, he can spin to the middle. If the quarterback looks to the single side, he can try and double and take away the single. Our corner is man, and then our stack linebacker is man. 2 wide receivers that are a tight end or a flanker, tight end or a wing. We are generally, in our base rules, we are going to lock that on the away side. If we see a tight end and a flanker or a tight end and a wing on the backside, the away side of the read coverage, we will base rules in camp, lock, play man-to-man on those 2, and then you've got to be able to teach your corner and your safety. If you are playing man on a tight end or a wing and they put their hands on someone to block, you must crack, replace, and get involved in a run game. So that's the hardest part of that concept is if it's a tight end and a wing, that is a run surface. You're playing man-to-man. If they get extra blockers and they block people, you have to be able to crack, support, and get involved in the run game. That is the toughest thing to teach. All right, 2 receivers detached. We start off camp rules. We play 2 read palms coverage. But I have several diagrams and clips where I show you how we can play other things on the back side of our coverages and some things on the front side of coverage. So these are just read side and away side camp rules that we teach in camp, that we come out of in camp, and we understand these are the base way that we are going to play things, and then we build in our toolbox and our adjustments off that. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is this is what we would look at in a 3-3 stack. This is what we would look like if we were playing a 2x2 set. All right, so base camp rules, we're playing palms to both sides, and now we can get into the coverage a little bit. All right, you can see the descriptions for each player. So right now the free safety's on the left, so the left side is the read side. They have 2 remove receivers. Their camp rules says they're going to play palms, okay? So they're going to play 2 read coverage. So with the left safety to the free safety side, he becomes the down apex player. He tells the linebacker, I'm here, which means the linebacker becomes the 3-hole dropper or the hook curl 3 vertical player for us in our Palms coverage. One of the things for us, our Mike linebacker is not tied to any of our base coverages. We drop 8 and we use the Mike linebacker as a spy add-on rusher. So in all of these coverages, you will not see the Mike drawn up in coverage. We do not use him in coverage. What that allows us to do is it allows me to tell my end and my anchor that versus pass, they have a free 2-way pass rush. Get to the quarterback however you can. And if you lose contain, the Mike will become the pull-up contain player. He will add himself as the 4th rusher. Okay, so on that front side, as you go through it, you can see the left corner. All right, read number 2. If 2 is vertical, play all of 1 except shallow. What is vertical to us? If 2 is outside and deeper than our down safety, that is vertical. Okay, our corners play with their butt to the sideline and they shuffle out to get their reads. We do not backpedal. So our corners will read number 2. All right, if 2 is vertical, which means deeper and wider than the down safety, all right, you will then play all of 1. So you will crossover run and get on top, play all of 1. And the post route is the number 1 route we have to teach them to defend. Because we play with outside leverage, the post route is always going to be an issue. The reason we play with outside leverage is because we want the corner versus 2 to the flat to be able to leverage the ball in the bubble screen game and the quick screen game. We want that corner to be able to leverage the ball, and we want him to not lose number 1 in his vision when number 1 is running vertical routes down the field. So because he's outside leverage, we have to teach him how to crossover run and get on top of the post. That's the number 1 thing you're going to have to work on. And with that corner in Palms, you know it's a beater. You know you got to work on it all the time. You also, just for everybody in attendance, you must have coverages that close the middle of the field to protect your base defense. Okay? If 2 goes to the flat, all right, that means 2 goes outside underneath the down safety. So before the level or under the level of the down safety, 2 works outside, the corner will jump that and play it man-to-man. Okay? If 2 goes under, all right, if he goes inside and under that down safety, all right, we then tell the corner he's got to play all of 1. All right? We don't have to chase the shallow. We can squeeze some inside routes, but generically speaking, we make it real simple. If 2 is under, be ready to play all of 1. Okay? And then depending on the certain routes you get, you may have help from the safety, but we tell them don't expect help from the safety because a lot of times in Palms coverage, middle of the field open, teams will run, the kind of Dickham routes where 2 goes under to try to get the safety to double 1, and then he snaps back vertical. So we defend that a little bit differently than some other people. Free safety is also reading number 2. Our free safety is 11 yards off the ball, not off a receiver. Okay? Our free safety is 11 yards off the ball, not off the receiver. All right? And he is 1 yard inside number 2. We play with inside leverage on number 2. That is how we play the coverage. Okay? He will also read number 2. If 2 is vertical, which means deeper and wider than a down safety, I am going to play him man-to-man. As soon as 2 is vertical, I'm playing it man-to-man. So if 2 runs an 8-yard out, free safety's got to play it. If 2 runs an 8-yard dig, the free safety has to play it. Anything that is vertical beyond and outside the depth of the down safety, we go ahead and play it man-to-man, and then we work on all the beaters, post dig, post out. We work on all those beaters because we know that's what we're going to see in this coverage. And then we also carry coverages to complement this coverage so that we can defend the beaters. Okay? If 2 goes to the flat, and again, we said 2 to the flat was outside under the level of the down safety. We don't give them a yardage. We don't give them a negative. We just tell them if 2 is outside underneath the level of our down safety, all right, you had better get to 1. So that's how it becomes the 2 read portion. The corner is going to go down and trap the flat, which means the safety has to get over the top of number 1 in the deep half. So that is something you have to rep. We rep it in half line a bunch. 2 out, safety to 1 is something that you have to rep over and over again. You got to work on the angle. You got to work where his eyes go, how to run to number one and not look for the ball. You got to work on the transition. Our free safety starts in a slow pedal. He takes 3 slow pedal steps, and then he's into a fast pedal. If 2 is out at any time in his slow pedal, he has to put a foot in the ground and go to 1. All right, so if 2 goes to the flat, our free safety has to get over the top of 1. Okay, if 2 goes under, it's a game plan adjustment for us. All right, so depending on what the other teams like to do, when 2 goes under, all right, there's times when 2 goes under, we'll double number 1. There's times when 2 goes under, we may look backside for a shallow or a dig, coming from, if 2 goes under shallow, we're looking for that dig or that hunt route coming from the other side. Okay, camp rules day 1, I tell the free safety when 2 goes inside, zone your quarter. That is the safest, easiest way to play that coverage and not give up the route where 2 goes under and then vertical. The easiest way to play it is when 2 goes under, have that free safety zone the quarter and find work, okay? As you get better at the coverage and you get better at understanding your opponent and you know the route combinations and you get a free safety that understands the route combinations, now you can start the game plan if 2 goes under or if 2 goes shallow or if 2 runs mesh. You have a chance to tell that free safety where you would like him to go. Camp rules day 1. 2 goes under, we zone the quarter, we get in the back pedal and we look at the quarterback and we try to find work off of what the quarterback is doing. Okay. The lion backer on that side, okay, is a hook to curl, 3 vertical player. He is reading the release of the back. Our underneath guys, we talk in terms, all right, of wide and tight. What is the release of the back? We don't talk about routes as much. We talk about wide or tight. If the running back is tight, that means between the tackles or just outside the tackle box, releasing vertically. All right, we are going to drop tight. We are the 3 vertical player. We must match that back if he tries to go vertical. The 7-on-7 route that if you're on 7-on-7 leagues or if you're in these 7-on-7 prestigious tournaments, 2x2, 3 vertical, you're going to get it every time. Okay, you see it in game situations. All right, this season I saw that route maybe twice. 7-on-7, you're going to see it 15 times in a 10-minute period. All right, that is the route everybody runs. So you got to teach your 3 dropper that he has to match 3 vertical just like you would in quarters coverage. Now, if 3 is wide, meaning he's pushing to the flat, he might push motion to the flat. Now we're going to have to push the coverage. And if 3 is wide, now my 3 dropper, my lion backer has to widen his coverage. So a lot of times we'll talk to him and we'll tell him, okay, you are a hook pull player. So you're going to be a hook dropper inside of 3 unless 3 pulls you to the curl. Okay, so you drop in the hook unless 3 pulls you to the curl. Now with the down safety, you can see on the screen it says wall 2, expand with 3, swing deep of 3. What that means is stay inside of 2 as long as you possibly can to make it easier on your free safety. But if 2 goes shallow right away, you're never going to be able to get hands on him. All right, so you can't run out of your way to collision 2 if he's going shallow. But if 2's trying to go vertical, we can try and work to get hands on him. When 2 goes vertical, I try and tell my down safety, I would love you to be 1 yard inside and 1 yard underneath him as he's going vertical so that we can force a throw that goes to the free safety. But we will not go out of our way to run and get hands on a number 2 vertical. There is no seam issue in the coverage. You don't need a vertical reroute on that number 2 receiver. It's not the end of the world because it becomes man-to-man for the free safety, so you don't need to rush to get hands on him. If you can get hands on him, it's great. But as long as you force him wide enough and deeper than you declare the read for the free safety. All right, so wall 2, expand with 3. That means 3 can never out-leverage you. The number 3 receiver cannot get wider than you on the football field. You do not have to expand with him until he threatens your leverage. Okay, so if 3 releases tight, like we talked about first, our left safety can drop tight and he can stay in the curl window. He doesn't have anywhere to go. If 3 goes wide, all right, now our left safety has to expand when his leverage is threatened. He has to expand. Now, when I say expand, I mean expand with width, Do not run up and play the flat route that is either behind the line of scrimmage or at a yard deep and open up the outcut behind you. You want to stay in that curl window as long as you can to help your safety out. If they throw the ball to 3 in the flat, you've got to rally, drive, and tackle. Okay, but the one thing you got to make sure is you keep leverage. So as 3 starts to get wider than you, you must expand with 3, because if he were to run the wheel, you are the guy that has to swing deep with that wheel route. Okay, so you are a wall 2 player, expand with 3, swing deep with 3. Now on the other side, the Ram linebacker has to remove himself from the box a little bit, but he never, ever changes his run reads. Okay, and here's what we do with our run fits. Our 5 technique, end and anchor. All right, they have 3 things to look at. If they get any type of out block towards them by the tackle, they are C-gap players, and our Ram and our Lion are B-gap players. If they get any inside releases, all right, via releases, gap down releases, our end and anchor will chase and close the B-gap. Our Ram and Lion will replace them and become quarterback players or C-gap players. Okay? If our end and anchor get a pass set, they have a 2-way pass rush. So when we talk about our block recognition with our ends and our Lions and our anchors and our Rams, because they're tied together because they don't move, we tie those 2 plays together, those 2 players together, and we work their run fits and their block rec to where they are simultaneously working together. Tackle blocks out. Ends a C-gap player, stack backers a B-gap player. Tackle blocks down. End closes the B-gap, stack replaces on the outside. Tackle pass sets. End and anchor have a 2-way pass rush. Lion and Ram now get into your coverage. So our Ram linebacker is removed a little bit, and the only reason he's removed a little bit is because he does not have the free safety on his side, so he does not have the down safety with him. So he becomes the wall 2, expand 3, swing deep a 3 player. That is why you have to teach your linebackers in the way we teach our defense. You have to, excuse me, you have to have hybrid players, because if you notice in the diagram, our Lion backer is a hook curl 3 vertical player, but our Ram backer is a wall 2, expand with 3, swing deep a 3 player. If the free safety were to switch sides, those 2 guys would have to be able to switch assignments. The Ram would become the hook curl 3 vertical player, and the Lion would become the wall 2, expand 3, swing deep a 3. That's why we have to teach them as hybrid players. The right safety and the right corner are playing Palms coverage. I've already discussed what the corners reads are and what the safeties reads are. So again, I'm going to try and send you this presentation. If you want to take a screenshot of it or take a picture of it so you have all these rules written down, by all means, go ahead. All right, so here's what Palms hard would look like. So the ball's on a hash mark, and they have the running back set to the field. So we put the free safety to the field, and we are going to play Palms coverage to the field. All right, so the left corner, the free safety, the left safety, and the Lion are going to play all the rules we just discussed with you about playing Palms. All right, they are going to play Palms coverage. But into the boundary, we're going to decide to play hard coverage. They're throwing some quick game into the boundary. They're doing some things we don't like, or we just want to change the look up. So now into the boundary in that hard look. All right, your right corner is going to hard funnel 1. He's the force flat defender. He's got to run with the wheel of 2. He's got to carry the wheel. Your Ram backer now becomes a hook curl. Don't expand with number 3 now. You are not playing Palms coverage anymore. This is when you start off teaching pattern read, pattern match, Palms coverage. As soon as you go to a cover 2 concept, this is going to be the hardest thing for you to teach, because the guys that are used to expanding with 3 are always going to want to expand with 3. When you play hard cover 2, you have a flat player. There is no need for the hook curl dropper to expand to the flat. So you got to work like heck on teaching that kid the difference between a spot drop cover 2 and a pattern match Palms coverage. He is a hook curl defender. Do not expand with number 3. If you can get your hands on 2 and wall him, that'd be great. But into the boundary, we don't feel like there's as big of a stretch on the right safety, who is the deep half player. All right, so the right safety is going to read 2 to 1. He's going to play the half. He's going to try and split 2 and 1. always favor 2 because 2 is a shorter throw than 1. All right. So if he gets 2 verticals, we would love the corner to funnel 1 to him. We would love the ram backer to wall 2 to him. But if that happens and he's got to split 2 verticals, he's got to split them, honoring number 2, be closer in yards to 2 than you are to 1 because it's a shorter throw. So that is what palms and hard would look like. And if you notice, look at the stack box. The stack box has not changed, so the run fits will not change, even though we changed how we play it. The 6 in the box will play the exact same run fits. We will send the nose left or right based on game plan. The Mike will play the opposite A-gap, reading through that guard. The end and the ankle will read the tackle. The lion and the ram will read the tackle, and we will fit runs off of the block recognition that we talk about all the time, and we will make it as simple for those guys as possible. All right, here's a palms lock call. All right, so now the ball's in the middle of the field, so away from the free safety. All right, they're doing some things that are hurting us in palms, but we don't want to play hard coverage because the ball's in the middle. So what we do is we play palms to the free safety side, tailbacks on the right, so we play palms to the right, and then we lock the other side. So the left corner's playing man on 1, the left safety's playing man on 2. Okay, so now to that side, you got to understand in man coverage, all right, your end has got to be, if your end gets any out blocks by the tackle, he had better set the edge and keep the ball inside. If the end gets any down blocks and he squeezes, your lion backer had better set the edge and keep the ball inside because your corner and safety are playing man. Do not expect them to show up in the run game unless there is a crack block. All right, so if X and Z or if X and H ran vertical routes, the corner and the safety are gone. Your end and your lion have to know that one of them is going to become the force player in that defense. All right, now the lion is playing 3 weak man. All right, if 3 is on the strong side where he is and he stays there, your lion can just help cut. All right, you can push him. He can work the weak side and cut the X or the H. He can work the middle and look for crossers coming back from the Y and the Z. All right, he becomes an extra player if 3 releases strong because he doesn't have a man to play. Remember that the Mike is not in any of our coverages. He will be a spy, add-on rusher to the quarterback so that the end and the anchor can have 2-way goes. On the front side, palms rules. All right, so hopefully if you took a picture or a screenshot of what the palms rules are, you know corner and the safety are reading off of number 2. All right, they are going to play the coverage based off the release of number 2. Right safety now becomes the wall 2, expand 3, swing deep at 3 player. The ram backer now becomes the, hook curl vertical 3 player. Those are the palms rules on that side, man to man on the other side. So now we could play palms on one side, lock the other. All right, now here's what it looks like when you get a nub on the backside. All right, so we are going to play palms to the passing strength. There's 2 receivers on the right. We're going to make a rip call. Those are 2 stand-up receivers. Our camp rules tell us to play palms. So the free safety is going to make a rip call. The right safety is going to tell that ram linebacker, hey, I'm here. Stay in the box. You're the 3 dropper. You're not the wall 2 player. So the right safety becomes the curl 2 play, the curl pull player. Swing deep at 3. Wall number 2. 2 doesn't cross my face. 3 doesn't out leverage me. Several different ways to use that terminology. When I say curl pull, what I mean is he's a curl dropper unless a number 3 pulls him out to the flat. Okay? So he stays in the curl unless 3 pulls him to the flat. So he reads through the backfield the number 3 receiver. If they're tight, he can drop tight in the curl. If one of them's working wide, as soon as his leverage outside of him is threatened, he has to expand. Your right corner and your free safety will play their palms rules off the release of number 2. Now to the backside, we are going to play sky to the nub. We're going to take the left safety and we're going to make him a D-gap force player. He's going to be a flat player. He's going to be a wheel player. All right. He's going to be about 2x2 off that tight end. And he's the D-gap hard run player. He is setting the edge. And if he gets any flat releases, he has to carry any routes that go to the flat. All right. Your linebacker on the nub side. He's on the sky side. He's a hook curl defender. He does not have to expand out to the flat because he has a flat defender. He can stay in the hook curl. All right. Your corner is the deep half player, but he's the deep half player to a nub side. His only vertical threat right now is that tight end. If that tight end doubles the 5 technique, we expect our corner to show up in the run game, and he's got to fit off of the left safety and the linebacker, and he's got to make the linebacker and the left safety correct. If they fit it right, he can fit the alley between them. If the lion runs too wide, he's got to play behind the lion. If the left safety gets hooked and reached, he's got to play outside the left safety. Second level players fix first level players. Third level players fix second level players. So we are playing palms to the passing strength side, all right? And then we are playing sky, all right, our inverted cover 2 to the nub side. Because it's a nub, our corner plays at 8 yards in the C gap, flat foot robber read. Your vertical threat puts hands on. Get yourself involved in the run game. All right, here's what we call Miami now. This is man-to-man versus Twins receivers. Okay, so we play with 5 secondary players. We always have skills that we feel like can match up with skills, so these are never backers on skill players. So what we are going to do is the free safety is going to set the Ripper Liz side. The free safety in the corner on his side are going to play man-to-man. The corner and the safety away from the free safety are going to play man-to-man. Our underneath players are going to play palms, coverage, rules, and they are going to fit runs hard first. So that right safety that's to the side of the free safety, he is a wall 2, expand with 3 player. He is a curl pull player. Don't let 2 cross my face. Don't let 3 out leverage me. He's still playing the same rules he would in palms, okay? But he can play a little bit tighter to the box. He doesn't have to worry about anything with 1 and 2 because we're playing them man-to-man. So when we get RPO teams, this is one of the checks we'll make. When we get quick game teams, this is one of the checks we'll make. If we feel like we can play, all right, them in man coverage, this is one of the checks we'll make. If we get teams that run a lot of stick and they push the T to the flat and then they read the wall 2 player, and if the wall 2 player expands, they throw the stick to the Y. We'll make a Miami check and we'll get a little down tighter with that free safety. And when the Y runs the stick, we will drive that stick route because we're playing it man. Okay, so Miami is one of our adjustments. It tells our kids if you get 2 removed, Twins receivers, you play man on either side. Okay, so Miami is a call that tells our corners and safeties, 2 removed, we're playing man. Underneath players, you're playing palms. Now, we can go Miami hard if we wanted to, just like we went palms hard. So if we go Miami hard, all right, that means we are playing Miami, all right, to the free safety side if he gets 2 removed. So if the free safety gets 2 removed on the read side, he's going to make a Miami call. We are going to play hard on the backside no matter what. This is usually a hash mark call. All right, it's a hash mark call. Free safety plays man to the field. We play hard cover 2 into the boundary. So again, hard cover 2, corner, hard funnel number 1. All right, you are the D-gap force player. You are the flat player. You got to carry the wheel. Safety, you play the deep half, reading 2-1. Always honor 2 if you get 2 threats vertical because he's closer. All right, 1 is a further throw. The ball's to the sideline. You have to be able to be an athlete and react to that. So you've got to split them if you can. Honor number 2 because it's a shorter throw. Ram linebacker, you become a hook curl defender. Don't expand with number 3 because we are not playing palms. We are playing spot drop cover 2. You are a hook curl player. So now you get Miami, all right, to the field side, and you get hard to the backside. Again, another version in the toolbox to play something different off your base rules. All right, so now we get 21. All right, this is right now we've got drawn up a read hawk call. All right, so to the free safety side, the passing strength is to the left. They got 2 receivers to the left. He makes a Liz call. Those 2 receivers are a tight end and a flanker. We are going to play quarters. We make a read call. All right, Reed tells our kids to play quarters rules. Our corner plays all of 1 except shallow cross. Sometimes we press. Sometimes we play off. All right, diagram is a little bit sketchy there. The corner should be inside leverage of 1, not outside leverage of 1. So I apologize for where he's drawn on the diagram. If he's off coverage, he's 7-by-1 inside, 7 off. If it's press coverage, he's inside leverage, playing press. All right. Usually play all of number 1 except shallow. That is tough to teach to a kid in press coverage. High school kids in press coverage want to play man everywhere. So a lot of the times you have to get an older corner that you have taught how to play football in order to get him to play press and understand not to chase a shallow, all right, because he's playing man on 1 vertically, but everybody else is playing a zone or a pattern match concept. So if 1 goes under, he's going to go under the zone players, all right? Your left safety right now, who is 2 the call of the free safety. He now becomes the D-gap force, curl flat, swing deep of 3 player. So again, he should be about 2x2, 3x3 off the tight end. He sets the edge of the defense. He is the force player. And he runs at him. He's got to be a hard D-gap player. He's got to set the edge. Any pass routes, he's got to play curl flat. And if there's a 2 that goes to the flat, he's got to match it. He's got the wheel of 2. All right, it's different when you play quarters than when you play maybe robber coverage that some people play. Our corner is not playing a half. He's playing man. So if 2 goes to the flat, our left safety has to buy it. The linebacker right now is a hook curl match 3 vertical player, so it's actually very similar to him for palms. All right, because he's a hook curl player, he's got to know that he has to match 3 vertical. All right, if 2 is out and 3 is out, he's got to carry 3 through to the flat. That's one of the tough ones that you have to teach. All right, if 2 is out and 3's working out and there's nobody working vertical and there's nobody coming back towards him, he's got to expand the coverage and work with 3 through to the flat. Your free safety is about 8 yards in the C gap of the tight end, flat foot read. In the run game, he should be running the alley between the Mike and the strong safety if he gets run his way. All right, so for us, it's going to be it'll be the lion and the left safety. All right, when we were a 4-2-5 team, it was the Mike and the strong safety. In this diagram right now, if he got a run to his side, he would want to fit the alley between the lion and the left safety, and he wants to make the lion and the left safety correct. If they do their job and they fit it right, he should be able to fit the run in the alley between the 2 of them. If the left safety gets reached, the free safety is going to have to fix him and go outside and be a force player. If the lion runs too wide on a power play or a gap play, the free safety is going to have to fit behind him. All right, you never want 2 guys fitting the same gap. So the free safety is the deepest player. He has to fix the left safety and the lion. But all things considered, all right, he should be running the alley between the lion and the left safety. The diagram says Mike and strong safety because it was diagrammed off of our 4-2-5 stuff, and it was one of the things that unfortunately got by me that I didn't change. So that should say alley between lion and left safety. Now, if runs go away from the free safety, he is going to play off of the linebacker. If the linebacker runs like heck, he's going to play cutback behind him. If the linebacker is caught up or blocked slow, he is going to run over the top and become the cutback player. Your free safety is the bonus, extra run fitter. Okay. Now to the weak side, we're playing Hawk. Hawk means man-to-man on 1 and 2 weak. All right. So 1 and 2 weak, we got to play man-to-man. All right. So our ram backer has to play 2 weak man. Our right corner has to play, all right, that number 1 weak man. Our right safety plays quarters just like our free safety. He's a flat-footed read. On runs, he's going to fit where needed. He's probably primarily getting ready to be a force player on runs at him because he doesn't have the down safety with him. All right, but again, he's going to fit off the ram. If the ram runs real wide for some reason, the right safety needs to fit behind him. If the ram fits tight, then the right safety can fit outside him. If the ram were to get an ISO play, I would expect him to spill it to the right safety. But if he doesn't spill that ISO play, I need the right safety to fit behind him. All right. If we get anything or any routes that are flooded that way, where we get all 3 released that way, sometimes we have to use the Mike as a spy. Tell him that if all 3 flood, the Mike has to drop that way in coverage. All right. Or if we get 3 flooded and the quarterback looking that way, the right safety becomes the extra player in the coverage. We do not see a lot of weak side flood routes from a 2-back set in against the passing attacks that we see. All right. So that is quarters to the front side, Hawk to the backside. Notice that the 3-3 stack stays the same. The run fits for those 6 players will stay the same. That is a big key as to why we went to the 3-3 stack. All right. We wanted to fit all these runs, even if we were in palms or even if we were in quarters. We wanted to fit all these runs the same for those guys. And that was a huge part of our success this past season. All right. So here's 2x2 out of 11 personnel. All right, so we're going to play read palms. We're going to set our free safety to the tight end flanker so that we can play quarters coverage. So when you look on that side to the right side, that's the rip side. Free safety's playing quarters. That means the right safety. D-gap force, curl flat, carry number 2 on the wheel. The right corner, all of 1 except shallow cross. Okay, those are the quarters rules, read rules we just talked about on the last slide. Again, take a screenshot, take a picture, whatever you want to do. Try and get this PowerPoint to you so you can have all this. All right, the ram backer now becomes the hook curl match 3 vertical player. Remember, that was the linebacker in the last set. Because we don't switch sides, they have to be hybrid players. So the Ram is now hook curl, match 3 vertical. Free safety is Ali run fit. All right. If he gets it 2 vertical. So if 2 goes vertical beyond the Ram linebacker, he has to play that man to man. Okay. If 2 goes in or out. So if 2 goes under the Ram or if 2 goes outside, all right, underneath to the flat, okay, he can rob post-8 curl of number 1. All right. The only thing that we will change with him is if teams are trying to give us that under vertical route to kind of mess with split field coverages, we will tell the free safety if 2 releases inside, zone the quarter, find work off the quarterback. Normally in quarters coverage, when 2 goes under, we have to tell that free safety, you better see an ear hole, you better see the side of a shoulder pad number. If you see any front of the chest or face mask, consider that vertical and stay playing it man. If you see a shoulder pad or an ear hole working across the mic, now you can work to rob post-8 curl on 1. All right. So again, a lot of different ways you can play the free safety on flat routes or inside routes. For us, the easiest way is if he's flat or inside in quarters, we rob post-8 curl. If we have teams that are trying to mess with that inside vertical route, we tell him any flat route, any inside route, zone the quarter, find work off the quarterback. That is the simplest way you can play it, but you'll lose the double on 1 sometimes, and that's why quarters coverage, one of the reasons quarters coverage came into fruition was because of play action pass, playing a tight end vertical while also getting the free safety in the run game, all right, versus option teams where you would get hard option runs and then you get play action tight end vertical. Quarters coverage became in vogue because of that reason, but it also gave you a chance to double the number 1 because if 2 goes to the flat, you're going to play it man with your curl flat player so you can double number 1.
Hey, Coach, we got a couple questions. Coach Wilson is asking, in this current slide, do you spill the QB ISO in the B gap?
If we get QB ISO in the B gap, all right, the Palms player does not have a player outside of him, all right? So technically, we're going to have to try and hammer that back to the mic, okay? Because the force player in that defense is technically the left safety, all right? But the left safety is only the force player when he gets a crack block by number 2 with the ball going out wide, all right? So if we were to see quarterback ISO, and that's a big theory to the side that we are removed, we will probably have to gap exchange or do something with the end to take the B gap away because the exact play that you drew up against this diagram is going to give us issues. If the Lion spills the ball and he spills it to nobody, we're going to have some issues. But the other issue is if he hammers it back to the mic, they have enough numbers to block the mic. So 1 back quarterback runs, anytime the quarterback is a runner and the tailback is a blocker, they are getting +1 in the run game. You need to gap exchange and get the ball sent where you want it, or you've got to play some other things if you know you are playing heavy quarterback runs with lead blockers. That is a very good question.
Coach, another question is why do you set your passing strength the way you do right here? I'm assuming he's saying you've got 2 removed to one side, tight end flanker to the other side. However, you get your free safety set with the tight end flanker.
For us, we think in high school football that we have to stop the run first. So even though the 2 stand-up receivers are the passing strength, it's a 2x2 set that is balanced. I can really dictate where I want the free safety to go because it's a 2x2 set. Passing strength-wise, he would go to the twins. But because of the stacked defense and how we play it, we would be forced to play lock man-to-man on the backside. We could, from the middle of the field, we couldn't play quarters because our Ram linebacker is inside of the number 2. So we would have to do something with our front or adjust it to get the Ram outside because remember, if we played quarters, that means the Ram is responsible for B-gap runs and 2 to the flat. So I do not like playing quarters coverage with a player that is inside. So when I set the free safety to the tight end, it allows me to get my right safety down outside to play D-gap runs and to play the flat routes of 2. And now here's the way I look at it. If it was 10 personnel 2x2, we play Palms all the time anyways. What's wrong with playing Palms to 2 remove? That's how we play it all the time anyways. So my lion, my left safety, and my left corner at some point in a game are going to have to play Palms coverage. I feel like those guys are doing nothing different than they always do. And I feel like I'm getting run strength to the three-man surface because in my experience in high school, when a tight end's in the game, you get beat on runs first. We very rarely get beat by teams that throw the ball efficiently with the tight end in the game. So I make my defense and I play it based on how I don't want to get beat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is actually a topic that you and I have discussed quite often in the past, and that's something that's up for debate. Maybe that's something we can draw up on the board when we get to the end of it as well.
That coverage?
Yeah, maybe we'll draw that up, and then.
Well, I'll draw it.
We'll show it.
I'll draw it up with the passing strength set that way, and how now into the boundary you could get away with some things. I think. Was that? Is that good? Does that answer questions? Good questions, by the way. All right, now 3-by-1, we play what we call a mixed coverage. All right, so what mixed coverage is for us is it's an X-out theory. We are going to take the number one receiver to the trips, who, if you study your opponents in 3-by-1, the number one receiver to the trips, outside of maybe stand-up and rocket screens, that guy gets the ball the least amount of time in trip sets. So what we're going to do is we're going to man up that number one. Okay, and we're going to take him out of the game, and we feel like we could do so because he doesn't get the ball a bunch. What that's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to now take him out of the set, and what we now have left are two receivers that are removed. How do we play two receivers that are removed? We play Palms. Here is why you need to be a three safety team to play this coverage. We now have to play Palms with the left safety assuming the role of the corner in Palms, if that makes sense to everybody. All right, the left safety becomes the corner in Palms. He has to play off the read of that number three receiver. If three is to the flat, he's got to buy it. If three is vertical, he's got to buy all of two. It is very hard to play this coverage with a Sam linebacker. When we were a 3-4 team with a Sam linebacker, I never, ever used this as a trips adjustment because I never asked my Sam to play a remove number two vertical. Because we play with three safeties and 5 DBs, this is our number one check to 3-by-1 teams because it allows us to play with an extra player weak. And in high school, I will not let you put your stud at number one or run the ball weak to number one because I've over-rotated to the trips. First thing I'm going to do is make you beat me to the trip side. So the first coverage we play in mix is an X-out version of Palms. We X out number one, and then everybody else on that side plays Palms. Okay, so now we've got, all right, now we've got the left safety and the free safety playing Palms off of the number three receiver, all right, and we've got the Lion who is walling three, expand with four, swing deep of four, which now means four strong out of the backfield. Now, this is one of the only coverages where we have to make some adjustments with the Mike linebacker. If they put four strong, the Mike linebacker is going to have to push strong, and the Ram linebacker will become the spy on the quarterback. Because if they go four strong, we want to get 5-on-4. If four goes strong, they only have 1 week. I have 2 weeks to handle their one. So if four goes strong, I have to find a way to create 5-on-4, and then I have to find a way to create 2-on-1. So in this coverage, we have to talk to our Mike and our Ram about a possible exchange. If four is strong, all right, the Mike alerts the Ram. He says, hey, alert spy, alert spy. What that means is if four goes strong, my Mike is going to go into coverage and push to the new number 4 strong, and the Ram is going to become the spy player on the quarterback. Tailback out of the backfield going to the trip side makes that 4 strong. So in a 3-by-1 set, you can either have 4 strong or 2 weak. So either the back goes strong and makes a 4th receiver, or he goes weak and makes a 2nd receiver. In pass coverage, you would always like to be +1. So you want to be 4-on-3, 5-on-4, 3-on-2, 2-on-1. So if 4 goes strong, I need my Mike linebacker to get there to make 5. All right? If 4 goes strong, I don't need my Ram in coverage because I still get 2-on-1 on the backside because I'm not using any of those players to defend the trip side. Now, if the tailback is weak and he stays weak, everything stays the same in the coverage. The Mike stays as the spy player. All right. The Lion can't get out leveraged by 4 because he's not strong. So he just walls 3. He doesn't have 3 vertical. The free safety has 3 vertical. All right. So the free safety reads 3. If he's vertical, pass the Lion, play him man to man. All other releases, work your eyes to 2. All right. The left safety is playing palms like a corner. 3 vertical, play all of 2 except the shallow cross. 3 flat, play man to man. Just like we tell the corner in palms. All right. On the backside, we're playing 2 sky. The right safety comes down. He becomes flat wheel. He's got the wheel routes. He's got the flat routes. He's got the hits, the out, the slant of number 1. He's the D-gap force player. If you play enough high school football, you must understand that in 3x1, they're going to put their dude to the X. Try your best not to get man-to-man over there. All right? If you have to use a backside safety to the trips, you're going to be stuck playing man-to-man. All right? Also, if your backside safety has to go to the trips, you're going to get quarterback runs, just like Coach was talking about. Quarterback ISO, quarterback stretch, speed option, and you're late to the D-gap. All right, so I do not like getting beat to the single side in high school. It drives me nuts. My first 3x1 adjustment is going to be a coverage that I know handles single sides, and then I will rotate and adjust to the trips based on what a team does. And again, for me and what I see, we do not get beat trip side passing game all that much. Not in our conference. Our conference is run heavy. When teams do throw the ball, it's not a lot of drop back pass to the trip side. It's bubbles and nows and screens. And I want to defend the single side of 3x1 to the best of my ability. So that is always our first check. We call it mix. Now look in the box again. The Lion is removed a little bit, but he's still going to make the same reads off the tackle. If the tackle blocks out, I'm going to expect the Lion to fold the B gap. If the tackle blocks down, okay, I'm going to expect that end is going to chase and the Lion's going to be the C gap player. Same thing for the rush and the anchor. Okay. Again, quarterback ISO, same question Coach asked earlier. We are going to have to start moving guys up front and changing gaps out to get that ball to go where we want to, because quarterback ISO, if the Lion spills the ball, he's going to spill it to a left safety that is way too far removed to be a force player. Technically, in that defense, your Lion is kind of the force player. Your end can help you if he gets a reach block or an out block, all right? But if the ball were working wide, the Lion would be the force unless, all right, the end gets the outreach block and he beats the reach block. The Lion plays the B gap back underneath. All right, here's mixed coverage rules with a nub. So now on the backside, we got the nub. How do we play the nub? We play it in sky or cloud. Right now I've got drawn up sky, so we play mix the same way we did. Corner has 1. Left safety and free safety play palms off that number 3. All right. Lion, wall to number 3, expand with number 4, swing deep of 4. Mike linebacker, alert. All right. Alert, 4 strong. Alert spy. 4 goes strong. The Mike's pushing strong. All right. And then you're going to spy with the Ram linebacker. If the back goes weak and he's too weak, we're good to go. The Mike is the spy. We're playing cover 2 rules on that side. We are playing flat wheel, hook curl, deep half with the corner. Remember versus nub. The corner, his only vertical threat is the tight end. So if the tight end puts his hands on somebody, we need that corner in the run game. Okay, we need the corner in the run game. This is how we handle, all right, this is how we handle nub sets. We handle it by getting the corner involved in the run game. All right, so if it's 3x1 with a nub, this is the first check we're going to make. Now, also remember, as we go through this whole presentation, we're talking base defense. We play other things. We have line movements. We have pressures. There are other things we do. This is just base defense. Second thing we do to 3x1 is what we call roll. We're getting hurt to the trip side. They're beating us in the passing game to the trip side. We will roll and play a spot drop coverage to the trips. So we will roll and play cover 2 off the 1 and 2. Our corner will hard funnel. Our free safety will play the deep half of 1 and 2. Our left safety to the trip side will now go, he will go in between 2 and 3. He will be a curl player. He must wall number 2 out, but he can stay in the curl. He doesn't need to push to the flat because we have a flat player. The Lion on that side becomes the hook player, short wall 3. He doesn't have to go to the curl. We have a hook dropper. We have a curl dropper. We have a flat dropper. It's like flooding the coverage in Rip Liz match. All we've done is flood that coverage. There's a flat player, a curl player, and a hook player to that side. Okay. Now, the problem with roll coverage, we have to take the backside safety and use him to defend 3 vertical in the middle of the field. When we do that, that makes us play man-to-man with the corner and man-to-man with the Ram linebacker. So the first thing in this set you're going to get is you're going to get slant wheel or you're going to get post wheel, and they're going to put their tailback on your Ram linebacker. All right? And that's the first thing you got to understand that becomes an issue. All right? So I do not like going to this coverage unless it's a changeup or unless I know what the other team is trying to do. They don't have a great run game to the single side. Their single receiver is not a dude. Sometimes we play this coverage. If we have a team that's got a really good receiver and he lines up to the trip side, we'll play roll. If he's really good and he lines up to the single, we'll play mix. So we played our coverages on a game plan based on a receiver. Put the dude at 1, we play mix. Put the dude to the trips, we play roll. All right? It's all about you dictating and giving your kids answers in a toolbox. Look at the box. The 3-3 stack box hasn't changed yet. They're going to fit runs the same. All right? They're going to fit runs the same. The only issue you got to talk about, quarterback lead runs and 1 back. Those are going to present an issue. You've got a line stunt. You've got to get the ball sent where you want. All right? Lead ISO weak to the single side, and that coverage right there is going to force your right safety to come up and be a run player. And now play action pass, RPO, 3 vertical, very tough on that right safety. He's going to want to hang on 3 vertical all the time. If 3 goes vert and they run the ball, he's going to want to hang to 3 vert. As soon as you tell him to start helping on weak side runs in that coverage, they're going to go play action or RPO 3 vertical. Right safety comes down, 3's going to run right down the chute. All right, so this is a change-up coverage, a situational coverage. All right, I also drew up solo to tight end trips. When you have tight end trips and you don't like the split of the 2 and the 3 to play mix, you don't like playing mix coverage to this set. You want to be a little bit firmer against the run. You can play Palms coverage to the trip side on 1 and 2. Take the backside safety to play the number 3, just like we did in roll. Now, what's the difference between roll and solo? We're playing Palms on 1 and 2. We're not playing cover 2. So now we feel a little bit better with our force now because our left safety as an Apex player, if he gets blocked down by the H, we have a crack replace safety coming. Our deep half safety in cover 2 will never crack replace. So we feel like our force player is a little bit closer. We like where the Apex player is in a run game off the tight end. Our 6-man box hasn't changed. Again, you have to understand that you now get your right corner man-to-man. You now get your number 2, your ram backer man-to-man. All right, tailback wheel. One of the biggest things you're going to get in this coverage. When they see that safety spin, they're going to come back with tailback wheel. They're going to put the tailback on choice routes. They're going to get their tailback on your ram linebacker. All right, but I put this coverage in there because if you were not a 4-2-5 team or a 3-3-5 team, if you played with a Sam backer, this would be one of the first coverage checks you'd make because you don't want your Sam linebacker playing 2 vertical. All right. I myself, we have played mixed coverage to this before, depending on what the other team does. Depending on what they're trying to do, I have played mixed coverage to this before, especially if the X is a dude. So we've done it both ways. We played mixed, we played solo. Solo also becomes one of our motion adjustments. That's why I like to teach it. So if we get 2x2 with motion across, a lot of the times we'll go to solo. So I threw this up there just so you could see that coverage. Out of this PowerPoint, I'm going to show, for any of you guys that have ever been in a webinar before, anytime you do a webinar and you try to show live video, the live video gets real choppy. So when we go to the video component of this, I am just going to use these videos as still shots. All right. So that I can show you, the, how we line up and what we're playing to each side. Full screen. Here we go. Now, again, when you play video in a webinar, the video gets real choppy. So what we did with the last webinar is after we did the webinar, I went back and I re-recorded the video and I re-recorded my notes with the video. And then we sent it on we put it up on a new webinar so that the video was clearer. Anytime you run a live webinar, the ones I've done with Glazier, they've all been the same thing. They've all been the same thing. Anytime I've done a webinar, it's been a situation where live video is just real choppy and not very good. So what we're going to use this for right now is just still shots. You can see how we line up.
All right, Coach, you have a question Says, what does your Ram and Lion do on guard pulls? Do they gap over or do they stay on their side and the Mike has to play that?
Guard pulls away. If the guard pulls away and we get a hinge block, one of the first things we have to work on is if the guard pulls away and we get a hinge block to where the tackle steps inside but then peels back out on the end. All right, what our Lion has to do is our Lion has to understand that with the tackle hinging and blocking the end, that becomes like an out block to him. So now he's going to try and play behind, which means he's going to go with the puller and play behind the Mike or over the Mike, depending on how Mike takes on the double team on the front side. All right, so that's one of the first things in the Run Fit video I talked about it. That's one of the first things you have to work on with the Lion and the Ram. After you teach their initial block rec, the next thing that's going to happen on a gap scheme with a pull is the tackle is going to step down the hinge. And your end's going to think that he's a chase player, and your Lion or Ram's going to think that they're a replace player. But that tackle then on the hinge block turns out, all right, while the tackle – thanks, Coach Carly. The tackle turns out, now that Lion has to realize that that's an out block, and he now has to run with the puller. That takes a lot of work, and it was something that we had to work a ton on. But as the season went on, we got better at it. First time it happened, Coach, to be honest with you, and I've always been transparent and honest with all my viewers on everything I've ever done. First time that happened, our end tried to chase it, and our Lion went C-gap replace. And then when the tackle blocked out on the end, we had nobody behind the Mike on cutback. We didn't get beat on the run, but we were in bad shape, so we had to address that. All right, so this first one right here is 2x2. We're playing palms to both sides. So look at the corners. All right. Free safety's on the right, so the right safety's down. Right safety tells the Ram, I'm here. Ram can stay in the box. The Lion is into the boundary. So even though he's the apex player in palms, he's the wall 2, expand 3. First of all, he's into the boundary, so he really has nowhere to go. Second of all, look where the back is. We try to tell those apex players, if the back is away from you, they probably can't out-leverage you. Align a little tighter and expect to drop tighter because there's no threat of this guy getting wide. The only guy right now that has a threat of this guy getting wide is this down safety. All right, so again, I'm not going to play these. The video gets real choppy. All right, but you can see right here, this is what we would look like in 2x2 palms. Here's how we would look. There's my anchor. There's my nose. There's my end. That's my Lion, my Mike, my Ram, my right safety down on this side, right corner. Again, this is a little bit deep here. All right, I don't know, 1st and 10. I don't know why he's there. We should be 7x1. He should be 11x1 inside. So this corner is a lot better to the top. All right. All right, so now you're gonna get a look at Miami coverage. Look at the corners. Look how different. This is 2x2. Look at the corners. They're both playing press man. The safeties are tighter. We are now playing man-to-man on the 1s and the 2s, all right? And we are now playing our 6 in the box and our down safety to the call. They are heavy, heavy run players. The reason we did this against this team this week was they used a lot of push motion and they threw a lot of stick routes to number 2, all right? And in palms, that would give us an issue. So now if they were to try to push and we went with the push, we'll drive the stick route man-to-man, all right? So this is the Miami adjustment. So man on 1, man on 2, man on 1, man on 2. All right. Palms rules. You got a 3 here. Be ready to get out leveraged. You don't. All right. On this side right here. All right. You're the 3 dropper, but 3's away from you. All right. You have to make sure you understand if 3 tries to work vertical, you would have to drop with that 3 vertical. The only other thing you could do is because 3 is away from the side we have the down safety, the Mike and the Lion could make an alert spy call. The Mike could carry 3. The Lion could spy. All right, but other than that, everybody else is just playing palms underneath while we play man behind it. All right, now what you got is you're going to have a Miami palms call. All right, so this is my free safety to this side, my down safety here. So now we've got a tighter 7-man box to a 2x2 set to defend the run. To the top, we are playing palms into the boundary, but we're playing Miami down here. So this is man, man. All the underneath guys play palms. The Mike is the spy. Corner and safety to the top play palms. Now, if I play this through, just chat. How choppy is it? If anybody can respond. If I were to play this through, Does it play normal or does it come all blurred and choppy? Really slow, right? Okay, that's one of the reasons why on these webinars, live film is very tough to use. So again, I'm going to use these as still shots so that you can see alignment. And then after the webinar, I'm going to see if I can come back and maybe talk about some of these coverages and then reload it up as a video that we can give you guys either a code for or get you access to so that you can see me go through the coverages and what we did. These right now, I only meant to use these as still shots for alignment because I knew even in the Glazier webinars I've done, the video never comes across good. I don't know why hosting webinars is so difficult. All right, so here comes Palms with a nub on the backside. So this is Palm Sky, and they happen to be playing stack receivers. When we see stack receivers, we still stay Palms, and we play the deep stack as the number 2. All right, so if they want to play stack, we play Palms. Deep stack we treat as number 2. To the bottom, you can see us to the nub. This is Sky. That is our safety down and our corner playing the flat-footed robber technique. Here's our stack box. Here's our 3-3 in the box. All right, so here is, all right, the 3-3 with the nose aligned a little bit wrong here. There's our end, linebacker, Mike backer, Ram. There's our left safety. All right, they actually threw this, and we played it perfect. Corner comes down and forces it inside. Safety and stack come down so that the stand-up screen goes for a 2-yard loss. Okay, so you can see here the nose bumps. He tries to get back late. This was a team that used some unbalanced sets. We were knocking to unbalanced sets. This was a regular twin set. Nose went to the 3-man surface. That left end is trying to tell him come back. But here's an end zone shot. Look, that's our safety. All right. Who was your better player, the left safety, right? Our free safety has to be the smartest player on the field because he sets the passing strength. So we like our free safety to be the smartest. Our left and right safety have to be guys that are athletic enough to cover a slot, athletic enough to play on a hash mark in coverage, and they have to be physical enough to play in the run game. Free safety has to be the smartest of the 3. He's got to be able to cover, and we'd like him to be our surest tackler. Even if he's not our most physical, he's a guy that's got to get people on the ground. All right, so that's our right safety, and this is our corner right here. So you can see our corner. I would like him inside a little bit more here, but he's ready right now so that if this tight end puts his hands on the 5 tech, he's going right now to give us an extra run player. All right, so there's our Ram, there's our Mike and our nose, there's our end and our lion right there. So that's the end zone version of the nub. All right, so now you're going to get Palms hard. All right, so again, into the boundary. They got a single receiver. All right, we choose to make a hard call. So you can see, look at how deep our left safety is starting to get off the half. He's got all of 1 deep. Our corner is going to try and flat force funnel that guy. All right, there's our 3-3 stack box. There's our down safety because to this side, we're just playing Palms. Now, the only issue is the safety. There's the ball. The safety should be on this white line. That's 11 yards. Our corner's not too bad. 7-by-1, 11-by-1 inside. So this becomes Palms hard. So you can see our free safety. I think he's a little bit too wide into the boundary. Into the boundary, all right? He doesn't need to get that wide. He's got the sideline as help. And this corner is going to try and funnel this receiver back to him. This is the route right there that you don't want. All right, so this safety is a little bit too far over the top of that. I like his depth because he's a half player. This kid will have nothing to do with the run game on that side until he'll be secondary force real late. It's this corner that's got to press and be the D-gap force guy. All right, so that is – all right, so this is Palms coverage on this side to the read side. But over here, we elected to make a hard call, all right? And the reason we did that is these are all the guys that are returning play. These are the guys that all played as sophomores the year before, all right? So all these guys were playing as 10th graders the year before, all right? So now, all right, they all came back. So now we added to our package, and we gave them a chance into the boundary to play hard coverage. The year before, we would just say, hey, Sky, that's all we're playing. So we added to the coverage, and we gave them a chance to add to the coverage because these are all returning players. That's why you can now get, in your toolbox, you now get Palms and hard coverage. So they can't know how we're going to play the single side if they want to RPO. All right, this is Palms and Hawk. All right, so you're going to see here, press man on one. Here's our down safety here. We're playing Palms. So now, this split right here, this corner, I would play that split inside leverage. You have to have divider rules. Your kids have to know where this kid is. Don't play him outside leverage if he's 5 yards from the sideline. Play him inside leverage. He can't go anywhere to the sideline. Don't worry about that. So you have to have divider rules. If he gets anywhere outside the numbers, I would start to play inside leverage. All right, he is playing camp. This was game number 1. He is playing camp rules 7x1. All right, free safety's good. He's 11. He's actually 10. I'd like to see him a little bit back. He's just inside the number 2. There's your down safety. Okay, so this becomes Palms here, and this becomes Hawk up here. So again, that is another add to the toolbox. I just showed you Palms hard. Now you got Palms Hawk. So what does that mean? Got to play this man. This backer has to play a 2-out man, but he really shouldn't get one unless he gets split flow boot or split flow RPO. He doesn't have a 2. All right. This down safety has to worry about this 3 out leveraging him. Okay. And then he has to play a 3 vertical. All right. And if they tried to push 4 strong, our Mike would have to push and make the spy call to the Ram backer. This is the Hawk safety. He is playing a robber coverage, vision and break. He is heels at 8, ready to play the run hard. Any pass he gets, he's going to play off the quarterback. Quarterback looks to the twins, spin the middle. Quarterback looks to the single, double the single. That is Palms Hawk. Okay, now this is Miami Hawk. Okay, and this is the reason we went to this, and we started the game, and this kid, who is a younger kid, all right, he'll be my free safety next year, all right, but he was a junior this past season. He's a really good player. He was our backup free safety, but our starting free safety was out for a little bit of this game. So we wanted to play Miami for this very play and this very reason, but the free safety started too deep. I wanted him at 5 or 6 playing man because they were going to go push and they were going to go hitch. All right, so what's going to happen is in Palms, this safety, when he gets threatened, has to widen. So what happens is he widens, and he's going to make this stack backer have to push to the stick route. So what they do is when he widens, the quarterback just throws the stick route to him. So what we wanted to do this week was we wanted to play Miami over here. So now that when they tried to throw stick draw or they tried to throw the push stick, we're playing man. So when you get the hitch route, drive the hitch route man. So you can see my safety. I know it's slow and chopped up, but my safety is working to not be leveraged by 3. My stack should be working because 3 is wide. But on the backside, we're playing Hawk. He hasn't even moved yet. He's ready to play runs. All right. And what we did this week, because they had some fullback vertical stuff, when we play Hawk, we just played off the fullback so that if that kid tried to go vertical, we matched him. If they put the fullback over here and went vertical, we took the Hawk player and we matched him. And they beat us on that route during the game, and it drove me absolutely nuts because that's the reason we played Hawk. That was our key. That was what we were looking at, and we got beat on it because we fell asleep in the game. But this is now Miami Hawk, which gives you another set. Palms hard, Palms Hawk, Miami Hawk. You now have multiple tools in the toolbox to play formations. All right, here comes Sky. I wanted to show you Palm Sky now. So what you're going to see now is watch our safety walk down in our corner, walk out. So there's our weak safety down with our corner walking out. Our corner now has all of 1 deep. Our safety is now D-gap, run, and he's also curl flat. He's got the wheel of 2, try to get him under the hitch, the out, the slant of 1. Okay? Now, because it's an inverted cover 2 spot drop, with him working here, this guy needs to stay tight in the hook curl. Don't expand. So we have the ram in the hook curl, the right safety in the curl flat, and we have our corner off the half. And again, when you're playing this coverage, do not get beat on that route with the middle of the field open. Let them throw anything else in the world but that route with the middle of the field open. We are playing up here. Day 1, Palms coverage. Corner and safety read 2. Down safety, don't let 2 cross your face. Don't get out leveraged by a 3. This backer, 3 vertical. If 3 is wide, you push, all right, to find a new number 3. Okay, so you have to make sure that you understand how to play all those things. That is palms with sky coverage down here. All right, so now you start to see why we like split field coverages so much is it gives us so many different variables to play to all these sets. All right, so this is roll coverage now. Remember what we said, roll 3x1. We are going to start off and try and make it look like mix. And then we're going to spot drop. So this corner is going to play hard, flat funnel. This safety back here is going to play deep half. And he's going to play off of 1 and 2. This safety is going to play 3 vertical. All right. This safety is going to spin into the curl. He's going to drop in the hook. So again, it's a spot drop coverage where we have a flooded out flat player, curl player. If I remember, you never blitz the line or ram. And no, we never send a 4th rusher in base defense. We do pressure. When we play base defense, we never, ever send a 4th rusher. So to that side, we have flooded out, flat, curl, hook. This is your 3 vertical player. All right. Now on the backside, this is tough to a nub because now this is a man. Corner has this tight end man to man. Back, the ram backer has a back out, but the back on this side isn't going to get out, so he's going to be a cut player. All right. So you are flat, curl, hook. Mike, remember, he is not part of the coverage. That's the spy. If that guy went there, I would expect him to push to the front side. He is playing the tight end man to man. Okay, so that is roll coverage to 3x1. All right, now here is mixed coverage versus a bunch set with a number 2 at the point. So here's what we do. We make it real simple. We take the corner who plays man-to-man in mix. His rule is play man-to-man on number 1. When they go bunch with 2 as the point, we just go ahead and tell him to play man-to-man on 2. Now, the safeties are now playing palms off of those 2 receivers. So we're now playing palms coverage with our left safety and our free safety off of the 1 and the 3. That is just a bunch adjustment we make when we want to play mix. Okay. Again, he is the inside short wall of 3. Don't let 4, all right, expand. And now what that lets us do is it lets us play the backside however we want. So what we choose to do is play hawk. We're going to play man on him into the boundary. We're going to keep our right safety here at 8 yards playing flat foot read. Now, again, if this is pass and the quarterback looks to the trips, I would expect this safety to run to the middle of the field and help. If it's pass and he looks to the single, I would expect him to get to the single and help. Our Ram linebacker has 2 weak. Well, if 2 goes strong, now we got to have the alert spy call. Push, make the Ram the spy. All right, so that's the only adjustment in the coverage you got to make. 4 strong, alert spy. So that is mixed coverage to a bunch with number 2 as a point. All right, now what you're going to get is mix cloud. When we have good physical corners, we love this adjustment because it screws quarterbacks up. So now what we're doing is we are playing mix. We are playing man-to-man here. We are playing free safety is way too tight. The free safety should have been back here. We're playing palms off 2 and 3 with these 2. If 3 went to the flat right now, this kid would never, all right, be able to get to 2. He's way too tight. This is your wall 3, expand with 4. Well, where is the tailback? He's too weak. He's never going to out-leverage you. Don't worry about it. Drop tight to 3. Over here, we're going to play cloud, which means we're going to take the corner and we're going to sky him down. Safety's going to play the half now. So we're just changing how we play the D-gap flat force. Now remember, that still becomes a spot drop side. So that's going to be curl flat, hook curl, deep half. Mix on this side, Spy linebacker. That's all that is. All right, that's all that is. That's just cloud is the corner playing what the safety would play. Inverted cover 2. But when you do it right and you do it late enough, it's a different D-gap player and it's a different flat player for the quarterback. All right, so at the beginning of this video, if we did it right, if they were going to run a third-level RPO weak off the safety, okay, and they read the safety high, they're going to give the ball. If we spin right and spin him down, he's actually the guy they should be reading in the RPO, and they should be pulling the ball and throwing a number 1. So if we do it right, we can mess with the RPO game. All right, here is mix hard. So to the top, playing mix. Man on 1, we like to play press. All right, again, palms, this safety should be back here. Palms off of 2 and 3 with our 2 safeties. Short wall of 3, don't let 4 out leverage it. 2 is over here. There's no alert spy call. This is hard, flat funnel, hook curl. There's a deep half player sitting back here. Mike linebacker's a spy. All right, so what was the first question?
First question is asking about double tight end, double wing, 6-inch line splits, 90% plus run tendency. What kind of special adjustments could you make to sounds like double tight, double wing?
Yeah, double tight defense for us is a little bit of an issue. We would probably go either to one of our bear pressure packages, or we would go to maybe a line movement to where all right, first of all, let's just talk it by rule first, all right? So the conversation in the webinar was trying to play everything in base coverage, right? So by rule, we have to set the passing strength somewhere. If we set it over here, we're going to try and play quarters over here to the passing strength. I told you before with the wing, what I really don't like is the fact that the corner and the safety get real tight to each other. On this side now, 2 removed from the passing strength. If our kids saw this in a camp with no other way to play it, we would have to play lock back here. So our corner would play man, our safety would play man, and we would have to expect them to get in a run game. That is how it would line up if you had no other game film on it, no other scouting on it. In base defense, we would line up to that formation, and we would play read here, and we would play lock man-to-man here. Now, how good that is, how long we'd get away with that, I don't know. That is how we would do it base, all right? But one of the things for us right away, one of the things I would think about is going to some type of man-free scenario, all right, for us, where we would play our safeties man-to-man, all right, and then we would take our lion and our ram, and we would get into a double eagle scenario where we would play man on the tight ends in the C-gap, like old 46 stuff, and we send him off the edge, We'd sit the corners back there playing man. The Mike would play man on a single back, and then we would put the free safety. So we would right away, against an offense like that, to me, that offense is not normal. It's not standard. It becomes exceptions, and now that's where we would have to start looking at playing some exceptions. So base rules, we would be in quarters. If we went to a camp, and this happens to us all the time, if we go to a camp and we don't have film and we have to play against something and that's what we see, I would expect my kids to play quarters and lock. By rule, that's all they can play. All right, but other than that, game plan wise, is that one of those teams where they go like quarterback toss as a lead blocker, that power toss or whatever the people call it? The wing goes in motion, quarterback tosses it to him, and then the quarterback becomes a lead blocker. That stuff is tough to defend, and that would be a game plan type thing where I'd have to look at what they were doing and look at how we could defend it. But in base defense, that is exactly what we would do. So again, the idea with the split field coverages is if your kids saw something that they never saw before, they wouldn't look to the sideline and panic. The free safety would say, hey, Liz, read. And then the other guys would look and go, hey, that's a tight end and wing. Hey, lock. Hope that helps.
Coach, the next one, they want to see 2x2 10 personnel orbit triple motion.
2x2 10 personnel orbit?
Yeah.
All right, motion adjustments are something that coach by coach, player, team by team, you have to understand what your orbit adjustments are and what your rules are going to be. because everybody has kind of different rules to. So right away, when you get this orbit motion back here like that, the first thing I think of in my mind, that becomes a two-back set, right? So if this was a two-back set, I would play palms, and I would play some type of sky, cloud, hawk. Or what. So as soon as this guy goes in orbit backwards here, he's no longer a threat vertically. I would take my safety down to play sky, and I would take my corner off to play the deep half there. I wouldn't change a thing to the front side because the formation hasn't changed. 3 across flat is different now, and you got to figure out what you want to do. If you're going to, normally for us, we would either take this backside safety and bring him over to play solo, or we would roll to 3 across, bring him over, roll him down to get, if it's hard, jet sweep or whatever. But orbit motion back like that, to me, what's the difference between that and a split back, 2-back, 20 personnel set? It's really no different. So once you teach your kids what orbit motion is, he started here, so we said palms, but he motioned to the backfield. It's now a single. Let's play sky, cloud. We could even call hawk if we wanted to. How would we play a single is what I would tell my kids. The new Pixar is a single, 2-back set. How would we play a single? All right, so I hope that helps orbit motion in 10 personnel, 2x2. You actually want me to cover the triple option part?
Huh?
He probably wants me to cover the triple option part.
As far as fitting the option, who's got
It wouldn't change for us.
dive,
Yeah,
pitch.
it wouldn't change for us. I'm assuming, is that Coach Wilson that asked?
Yeah, it could.
I'm assuming it's like zone triple, zone re-triple. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, they want to talk about triple option responsibilities.
Off of the orbit? It wouldn't change from, it's the same. It's all right.
Yeah, so you can show them from orbit. You're basically saying whether it's from orbit or they start with 20 personnel split back, you're going to fit it the same way.
I wouldn't change one thing.
That's how it becomes.
Yeah. So if this was zone, all right, if this was zone read triple, first thing we would do right away is off the inside block of this, we would chase the zone, play him on the quarterback. All right. And now what ends up happening is here is your initial force player. That's your dive player. That's your QB player. That's your pitch player. And this is your crack replace player. So now what's going to happen, I'm assuming, is if it's triple, all right, if you take the dive away, all right, they're probably going to try and get the left safety. They're going to try and work high to the free safety in the corner, figure that they can pitch off of the left safety. Well, the way we play it, we're going to chase the dive, and we're going to take this. As soon as we get that zone block, chase, replace, make the quarterback pitch the ball. Now that the quarterback pitches the ball, here's your pitch player. If your pitch player is blocked, here comes your secondary crack replace player. So that's how we would play it to that side.
Coach, draw it up at a 20 personnel and then doing it to the weak side.
Okay, so it's going to go in 2 back the other way?
Yeah.
All right, you got 2. When they motion away from the free safety, you've got 2 choices.
So they want to see orbit motion away from the down safety.
All right, here's the first thing you got. We would try and set the free safety to the back because a lot of the times the orbit motion is going to come away from the back, so that we would try and avoid getting into that situation. For us this past year, I'm going to be honest with you, any of those motions for us, any of the motion that changed the strength for us, we played 3 deep. So if this is left safety, left corner, free safety here, and we're playing right safety, right corner, all right, and then you got your Ram, your Mike, and your Lion here. When he orbits back here, now what ends up happening is it's 2 back, all right, but it's 2 back to the side that you're short a number. All right, so if we got motion away from the free safety, He went down to play 3 deep, and he went to the middle, and we played 3 deep. That's what we did. All right, now.
Coach, they're asking about it out of what you call deuce. So if you're to draw a deuce,
If they want orbit out of deuce, it's not going to change for us because it's just going to become a 2-back 21 personnel set.
and you're going to orbit motion the guy to the tight end side.
The other question they asked is a better question. That's a bigger pain in the ass than this. Because if we set the free safety to the tight end, they're going to orbit to a 2-back set to the side that we already have the strengths. So,
Well, I guess this would also be a good opportunity for you to throw up what we were talking about earlier, setting your free safety to the tight end in this set, setting your free safety away from the tight end in this set. So I guess let's talk about option responsibility with the free safety set to the tight end. Same thing with the free safety set to the twins.
all right, so you get this set and you get orbit motion. Again, to me, the orbit motion makes it a 2-back set. But they're motioning towards the strength. So if you had a 2-back set, 21 personnel, we would play read.
I think they're asking for orbit motion from the
Z?
Yeah.
Who the hell runs that? Like that? For us, that's motion away from the free safety, changing the strength. For us, that. And then in the box, it wouldn't. Again, option again?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm assuming if he's orbiting that way, it's got to be zoned to the tight end?
Yep.
All right, so.
And triple away from the tight end.
So we would rotate the 3 deep, but our run fits off of this right here. We're going to chase and take the dive, so he's going to be the dive player. Okay. He's going to get out here now, all right, to be the quarterback player, all right. He's going to have to come down in 3 deep and be the pitch player, all right. But what happens now is he can be blocked, so now your free safety that runs to the middle has to be able to run the alley and be the extra player. So when you go to 3 deep, you lose that crack replace player. That slot can now block your pitch player. So you have to be able to beat the block outside and turn it back to your alley defender. If that's what we were seeing, I wouldn't. If that's what we were seeing and I was getting hurt by that, eventually I'd get out of base and we'd start pressuring.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can try to get clarification on what Coach Wilson's wanting.
You want to see it out of, does he want to see it out of like flex bone, quick orbit motion, or what?
Yes, flex bone.
All right. Flex bone's a completely different animal now. This is what we do to flex bone. Especially if we know we're going to see short motion. We set both safeties down and we set our free safety in the middle of the field. So we start off with both safeties down and we put the free safety in the middle of the field. All right. As soon as we get short motion, that side becomes the read quarter side, and the other side, all right, the other side becomes the sky or the single side. So as soon as this guy motions this way, free safety just bumps over. All right, and this becomes the read side. So now what happens is the free safety is going to hard read off of the wing. So now if you get play action pass off of that and him vertical, the free safety is playing it. If you get any triple option, the free safety is going to add himself into the run game because this is going to become the quarter side. This side is now going to play sky coverage to where he's down and he's off the half because he got the motion away. All right. And then again, whatever you're getting to see. Want to see mid? Does he want to see regular midline, triple? For us, if we got triple out of this set, it's the same thing. All right. They're going to double that there. They're probably going to get that and work there. All right. We're going to try and squeeze the hell out of the dive with that. We're going to try and put him on the quarterback, put him on the pitch with him running the alley. If I know that if they're a flex bone team, that's short motions every time. Now, The only other thing you got to tell your kids is if for whatever reason they don't short motion, we get caught playing three. So we start in three deep, and if we know that they short motion, we just bump the free safety. As soon as the motion comes, he just says, "Hey, Liz Reed." So this side doesn't really change from the three deep aspect. He's down playing D-gap flat force. He's waiting for he can actually key this wing for all those runs coming back. All right, and then this kid is deep off the half. The only thing that changes is the free safety now gets actively involved. He's still a D-gap flat force player. Nothing's changed for him. He just knows that on that motion, we're going to be able to handle the free safety going vertical. H-back split zone. Do you spill the H kicking the anchor? And the left-right safety? Yeah, we try to spill everything. But again, remember this. Second-level players have to fix first-level players. So every day we try to spill everything every single day. So that's the first thing we're going to work on. Off of down blocks, we are going to try and spill everything we see every day. All right, so this is palms here, free safety here, whatever coverage we're playing to the backside, sky, cloud, hard, hawk. We will always have a force player to the single so that when we get split zone now and it works like this, we are 100% going to try and bend, spill, replace, and then bounce the ball out to the free hitter there. All right, but second-level player has to fix third-level player. So the Ram has to be a football player. If this kid gets his ass up the field like this and you go here, stick your nose back under, okay, which if that happens, their tackle can turn out and block the Ram and you got your ass in a little bit of trouble. So we are trying to spill the ball, But you got to understand that I have to fix him. So I can't just run blind. We try to tell them scrape paint, hip-to-hip tight. So if he's up the field and you start to scrape paint and you see him out here, you got to put a foot in the ground and go on. All right? In a perfect world, you'd like to get him off the hip of this down block so that he squeezes and flattens it out under here to spill, get the ball sent to him playing off the edge. That is how we would like to play it. All right, but it doesn't always happen that way. So you have to have your second-level player fix your first-level player, and then a third-level player has to fit a second-level player. Is that the split zone you're talking about, Coach Crouch? Have you tinkered with any of the tight front, inverted Tampa 2, Iowa State? I have watched Iowa State on YouTube, everything I can find. I do not know to anybody that works at Iowa State. I have studied how they play it 1,000 times over and over again. We will tinker with it next year, but it messes with our run fits. If you notice Iowa State, a lot of the time when they get to the tight front in certain one-back situations, they're pushing and pulling linebackers all the time, and they end up with two backers in the box. So, like, because of how Iowa State – and I don't know how if you have like a camera at my house or something on my phone, I don't know how you knew that Iowa State is like my go-to right now. I'm studying everything they do because it fits our personnel. And I know the tight front is in vogue right now. It messes with our run fits a little bit. But if you notice Iowa State, when Iowa State does stuff like this number 12 is like the joker player for them. Okay, so when they go to the tight stuff like this, a lot of the times what you'll notice is they end up playing with two inside backers because a lot of times they'll play trap, but their down safety actually ends up coming back here, and one of their backers actually walks out here to be the apex. And then this joker, number 12, Eichelhorn or something like that, really good player. He is actually the guy that they use on like 3 vertical and extra in the run game. And then on the backside, they could do whatever they want. They could play trap, cloud, sky. All right. But they end up with this 5-man box spilling everything wide. And for us, we are so tied. The success of what we did last year is so tied to the simple theory of these two players being married to each other. So we would send the nose one way. The Mike would be reading through the backside A, and then the Ram and the anchor and the end and the lion were all playing off of the block of the tackle. We were so tied in to how that fit. And I think that's why we had a lot of success, was because we made it so easy and so repetitive for those guys to fit that I never wanted to get into that box, because that's a different box, and I think it messes with our kids' run fits. But that's the Iowa State stuff you're starting to see. And you'll even see, if you notice, like when they play West Virginia and a couple other people, you'll notice versus one-back stuff, it looks like a four-man box. So, like, you'll notice a lot of times they'll play the tight front. All right, so they'll play the tight front like this, and they'll have the Mike sitting here, and then the other two guys will be walked out because it's actually what I would consider my down safeties are back, and then that number 12, he's playing that joker spot, and he's like extra adding on what the back does. So they're getting the ball spilled out to the edge, and then they're having that number 12 run the alley. Now, I do not know anybody at Iowa State. I would love to talk to somebody because I would love to play. My personnel, I think we can do this, but I don't like the fact that it messes with our box fits a little bit. And I am sold on the fact that we played the way we played last year because we made it so simple for our guys in the box.
Coach, somebody's asking about responsibility when you get sprint out or roll out with a quarterback. He's asking if the ram or the line, the trigger for QB contains, or I guess, what do you call that, a bomber or a flush player?
Yeah, secondary contain guy for us in base defense. Split field guard. We normally try to add the Mike to spy. Because you got to remember, all right, so if you get sprint out this way, okay, this is one of your drop players. This is one of your drop players, and then you're playing palms out here. All right, if you use him as the flush guy and send him immediately on sprint out, all right, what's going to happen is you're going to leave a lot of area in here with underneath routes 2-on-1 on the left safety. So what we would try and do is we would try and take him. We would try and get our end to contain it, but we would take him and try and run him through on sprint out. Kind of like in the old days. The old days when we played 3-4 stuff, if they sprint out, our backside linebacker was the secondary contain guy, not the front side guy, because it opens too many windows in pass coverage. So we would try not to lose the front side guy in coverage. We would try and add the Mike. That's a good question, though.
Then another one, in base defense, split field coverage, how do you cancel the B gap? Do you just pinch the end?
Yeah, we have calls we can make if we want to cancel the B gap, but I think what you have to remember is so in other words, if he had to walk out here and he didn't think he could play the A gap, all right, he can make an able call to him, all right, telling him that he wants him to go in the B gap, all right, or if it was a lion out here, he can make an exit call telling him that he wants to go there. All right, so if we feel like we're walked out too far to play the A gap, the B gap, I'm sorry, and we want the end to play the B gap, yes, we can make those calls if we have to. But one of the very next things we go to for us, all right, is four-man pressure, robber coverage behind it. So for us, one of the very next things that we'll go to when we do add a fourth rusher is we'll send the front one way, send the stack backer off the edge. We'll play man, 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 man. And then we'll play hard run robber techniques with these two. And if it's pass, we'll go one rat. So we're playing man free. If it's pass, he'll go low hole. He'll go high hole. So you got low hole player, high hole player. So that's one of the next things we'll go to is we'll move and send a fourth and then play robber coverage behind it. Somebody asked before, do we send a fourth rusher with the line? In our base, we do not. As soon as we send a fourth, we always play, all right, that coverage. Which for me, if you watch anything I've done on YouTube in the past, I call that coverage robber because I learned it in 1992 as 11 robber from Nebraska, how Nebraska was playing it. And then anybody that's older that knows Mickey Andrews at Florida State, his base call was jet robber. And that's exactly how they played it. They played it as a man scheme, two safeties as robber players, low hole, high hole. Everybody nowadays with Belichick, Saban, and they're all calling it one rat. But that's as soon as we add a fourth rusher, that is the first thing we do.
Coach also asked, after you add that fourth rusher, when you play your robber stuff, is that fourth rusher a box player or is he still trying to chase and spill?
We box. We box in all of our pressures. So as soon as we add a backer into the pressure for anybody off the edge, we box. Good question, though. We try to box Coach Wilson, we try to box all of our pressures so it makes it easy for our guys to say that when we're in base, we're going to spill. As soon as we get to a pressure, whoever the edge is, whether it's an end or an anchor, a lion or a ram, a left safety or a right safety, if you are the edge of the pressure, you are going to box. We play a ton of man free. We don't play a lot of 3 under 3 deep. We play some 4 under 2 deep, and we send 6 and play hot coverage with 2 under 3 deep. But we play a ton of man free and a ton of zeros. So when we pressure, we need to box because we'll send the ball to absolutely nobody. That's a good question, though. Now, on the other side, the end that's off the edge, we try to play him as a chase player, and then we try to fix him either with the man player or the safety. That's a little dicey, but we do that. But the guy that blitzes is always a box player. Anybody else? Good questions. Excellent questions. Coach Carly, where'd you go? If you guys are still there, if you're a subscriber on the website, or if you want to subscribe to the website for $9.90 a month, one of the videos I did was sending a fourth rusher and playing robber coverage, and also I did a 5-man trap pressure video where we sent 5 and played 4 under 2 deep. All right, so that was one of the. Those are 2 of the videos that are up on the website, and then eventually I'll get to a 6-man pressure video and how we play it in zero, how we play it in hot, but. Those are some of the videos on demand that in between the webinars, we do 1 or 2 videos a week, and that's the type of stuff. Got 10 videos on the site. We got split field coverage, 3-3 stack run fits, adding a fourth rusher, 5-man pressure with trap. I've got 2 back buck sweep. I've got ISO RPOs. What else do we have on offense? We had ISO RPOs. We had 2 back buck sweep, diamond formation. So those are all the outside of the webinars and stuff like that. We'll do on demand. We have 10 videos right now on demand that as a subscriber you can watch at any time. And those videos usually have game clips to them. And I do whiteboard and then game clips, and then I talk through the game clips. So if you're not a subscriber and you came to the webinar, we also do one-on-one consulting. So if any of you guys wanted to sit down and just get in a setting just like this and get a 45-minute to an hour consulting session with me, you can sign up on the webinar. On the website. If you're a subscriber on the playfastfootball.org, all right, playfastfootball.org. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have one-on-one consulting options. 7 o'clock and I believe 9 o'clock, you can get 45 minutes or 60 minutes. And if you pay for one of those consulting sessions, we can sit down. You'll be the first one because I haven't done it yet, but this is one of the reasons I went to this site, because now I can sit down and do a session just like this, and you could put things on the board. You could possibly send me your huddle, and I could probably be on my computer on your huddle going through things that you could ask questions on. So many thanks, Coach. I've viewed all your videos on YouTube and subscribed to your present site. Never been disappointed. Oh, you the guy in Indiana, Coach Wilson, that works with College Town? Yeah, I appreciate the shout out. That was awesome. I read that email. It came to me from my dome rep, and I appreciate you telling him that you thought that was a great idea, using me and branching out because I have a national reach. I appreciate that shout out 100%, sir. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? About 9:30, we're about to wrap it up. Appreciate you guys. All right. Thanks for attending. Let us know. Send me an email or let me know if there's ways you think we can fix it or do it a little bit better. I don't know about the video part, but we'll fix anything we can. This is only our second one. All right. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast, guys. I'll catch you next time.